I can't believe I'm wearing my Boston shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh, hi Wendy. You seem to have on. Let's zoom in on a logo here. Does that say something about Boston?
I got it. It was really cheap. I was in Boston and I got cold because it was really cold there. It was very chilly there in Boston.
Yeah, you needed that.
Happened to find a street vendor and I guess it says Boston Marathon.
But I understand this is not the only one you got. You got something else.
This would be the pullover.
Right. I
have the actual jacket. Yes.
But you only have the jacket because your husband bought it for you.
He bought it for me, and you know, he didn't, I guess, know that I'm opposed to them. So what was I supposed to do? Right. That's what happened.
Well, I know on the forum you've given in your blog, you know, your very entertaining blogs. But what would you like to share with 365 runners?
Oh, just in general?
Yeah, general about Boston.
Oh well, I think a lot of them have known me since I first started coming to the V boards, and I am so different now. I used to be so hung up on my times and obsessive compulsive, which I think all runners are to a point. Especially, I'm not like Kenny. Like I don't do my sorry Kenny. I don't do the color of my shoes with the training day. But I really just started enjoying running instead of being so all caught up in how fast am I going or what if I don't meet this goal. So I've become more laid back in that way.
Doesn't mean you don't care, totally.
No, I care tremendously, and I have nothing against people who get really into their times, but for me I had to let that go to enjoy it. And I am still, every race that I run, something happens that doesn't happen to other people. Every single time that I line up, you just don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. And in Boston, it was severe car sickness in the bus on the way over, and then I had to cut my shoe open again for the second time. Yeah, I had to. In Houston, I had a similar issue. It happened at the start line instead of in the middle of the race. Right. But I have things happen to me during races, and I don't know why, but I've just sort of tried to embrace that.
What was the best part of Boston?
The finish. 100%.
And you were coherent, and you didn't get an IV.
I was conscious. I knew where I was. I knew what I was doing. I wondered why I was doing it. And for the last 5 minutes or 5 miles,
I think someone towed you almost at the end.
I was closing my eyes for periods of time just so that the nightmare would pass. And finally, he raised my hand up in some sort of mock victory, even though I was clearly defeated, and he dragged me across the line. And I finished in one piece. But the end was absolutely the best part. Okay. And then the worst part was actually the walk afterward. It was horrendous, since I couldn't walk very well. Right. So
did you ever feel good at any point in the race?
I did feel, I wouldn't say good. Okay. Because I'd been car sick, I'd say I felt okay the first 7 miles, and then after that, I didn't feel good. No. It was too hot.
Well, talk a little bit about transitioning to trails now, and talk a little bit about Land Between the Lakes. I know you wrote about it, but
yeah. So what I've been kind of quiet about it, but what I've done in the last 5 months or so is I've transitioned to trail running and did my first ultra, and I love it. After my blow up at Chicago. Hi, Ro-Ro.
We gotta get Rowan in there. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, hi. I had a bit of a hard day in Chicago back in October, and I decided after that I was so hard on myself about not meeting my goal. I trained so hard that I needed a reality check. So I started running trails, doing trail races more, and I love it. I did my first ultra, which is the 60K, it's 37.2 miles.
How did you place, sister?
Third place. Yeah. Third place overall. It was an excellent experience. I ran the whole thing with my brother, who's a very dear friend of mine, and you know, it was hard, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. The training was awesome. The race was awesome. I love the atmosphere. What Charles and I were talking earlier. Nobody's ever standing in a corral asking you, well, what was your seed time, or what's your goal time, or you know, how many times have you done this?
You could be standing by one of the top runners in the country.
Yeah, you could be standing next to an elite. And I actually had the 50-mile record holder lap me during the race, and he was very polite and said, you know, on your left. There were no bells and whistles. You wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known except for Wes said, you know, that was the 50-mile record holder. So yes, you can be right next to them. At the end, they have homemade soup. They give you, instead of medals, they give you a tree to plant. Speaking of trees, they gave us a little tree to plant. So it's just a different kind of atmosphere that I never would have thought I'd fit into, but I do. And so I am going to do another fall road race, monumental marathon, and then I'm going to be totally ultra focused for a while.
And you get to eat your way through ultras.
Yes, you get. Here's what I saw. I saw M&Ms, peanut butter and jelly, and then it started transitioning to egg sandwiches, hot dogs, BLTs, which I didn't have any of that, but just the fact that, yes, you have to eat every 30 minutes. For me, at least, I had to eat every 30 minutes, and salt. You have to eat lots of salt, pretzels. Yeah. And people will, you're going at a pace where you can actually talk to people, and you get to know people. So I've gotten to know a lot of really cool people doing it. Yeah. So.
We'll get rolling one more time here.
And I do still have a blog. I should put my blog out. It's runnerwendy.blogspot.com. I just don't post it in the forums just because it's too hard to cross-post.
Yeah. It's really good. It is. It's very entertaining. Because blow by blow, you will know everything about it.
And you brace yourself for what is it that happened during this race. Well, I'll tell you.
So, what's the next longest thing you want to do?
I have a 50-miler a year from this May. So that is my next thing. And my ultimate goal is to build up to 100. I'm going to do a couple of 50s and build up to 100.
Any particular?
No, right now, because we have young kids, I'm thinking somewhere close.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do Western States at some point. Leadville terrifies me. But I think if I could find something in this area where I didn't have to travel too far, it would be best. So. But I would like for it to be... Oh, I cannot do an ultra on the road is another thing I learned. In my ultra, there were 34 miles on trail, and then you had to do some on the road. It felt like sledgehammers on my feet, so I would never do a road one. It would just be too hard.
Yeah. So you find that you can do a longer run on trail,
and
the recovery is so much different.
Yes. It is so much easier on my body to run 6 hours on a trail than 3 on the road. Absolutely. I'm much more beat up after Boston than I was after the 60K.
So were you worried, like some people, about when you first went to trail, said, I'm going to trip, I'm going to fall?
Oh, well, I did.
Well, yeah. Well, you would.
Yes. So I have a very
poster child for injuries.
A very low stride, and I fell. That was the thing in the trail race is I fell 5 times on the same knee and got a bone bruise and a nasty scar. So I definitely struggle with falling, but as long as I don't hit my head, I figure I'll be okay. So.
Okay. Yeah. Any important thing we need to talk about?
I don't think so. Just keep running.
I'm sure that 365 folks will be glad to hear from you. Yeah. So we had supper here in Bedford. Here's my sweet wife.
Very good supper.
Very good supper.
Not cooked by me.
Not cooked by Wendy. No, Tim. He even had an appetizer for us.
Homemade.
Homemade, yeah, of course.
And look what he has hanging over there, another Boston.
Oh, yeah. Right.
We're just coming out with all the skeletons.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we'll wind it up right there.
Bye.